Hey there, Dango Stu here. Today's video is about lifting the boat out again and about making some homemade stands to support it. So here we are after a bit of a wet stormy night. Just about to go back in the water now. I spoke to the crane driver this morning and he asked me to put a couple of ropes under the hull to help pull the slings under because we're going to be in very shallow water. So that's all done and now just waiting for the crew here at the marina to put it back in. So now we have the bit I'm most nervous about, getting into that really shallow section to get this lifted out. Look, worst that happens is we get stuck a certain distance from the seawall and we'll either need to drag it back out, or Rob's actually got a crane and he digs, he can actually even dig a bit of a channel, so we'll see how we go. Of course I'm not worried because I'm staying positive now. Alright, I've just spotted those structures that we can see from the shore, so I know where we are now. You can also see from the boats pointing upstream that the tide's still coming in, so at least we know we haven't missed the high tide, so worst comes to worst we might have to wait a little while for the water to come up to its peak. I think before I'll head in I'll get Rob, who's the owner of the property, on the phone and just see what things are looking like from the shore. That went a lot better than I thought it would. We're right up to the seawall, and the water's not even up the top of the seawall, so it's alright. Crane's here. Don't know where the driver is. Turn the motor straight off because it's so shallow. I'm not going to be getting much cooling water in, so as soon as I got in, just switch it off so we don't cook the motor. Alright, now the boat's safely on its new hard stand, I need to make some of my own props for the boat so that I can give those ones back to Femix Marina. First thing I'm going to do is plasma cut some strips of plate steel that I'm going to use to make the heads of the stands. I can't find the replacement tips for the plasma cutter. I think they're back at the house, so I'm just going to angle grind it. Next time we'll plasma cut. Now I'm just going to use a flat disc to smooth the cut edge off a little bit. Now I've got a long sheet of metal that I can cut up into tabs to make the heads for the supports. The idea with these is that we have the top of the acrow come up, which we've cut a plate off, and then here we've got a tab like this on the side, another one sort of here, a top like this, and then a bolt that goes through the sides, through the tube like this, so that the head can pivot on top of it. So this is what we're going to be making up out of 3 separate pieces of metal. Weld it together, well, drill it first so we can put it in the press, then weld it up. I'm already running quite behind schedule making these props. I've got 2 long ones now I'm going to cut. I'm going to make these the angled ones. Because I need to cut them anyway, I may as well cut them at the angle. The ones that are arriving tomorrow are shorter, and they're going to be the ones that go straight up and down. So what I've done is I've set the drop saw up to 15 degrees, which I think is a nice slope for them, given the ones I've borrowed. You know, it's a comparable angle. So we're going to cut them down at that angle, and then we're going to weld the base plates back on. So here I've just set it to 15 degrees on the markings here, use the speed square to check it. So we'll clamp it down, cut through. I may as well use this original base from the acrow prop, so I'll need to cut that off later. But I'm going to do both cuts at an angle now, then I'll set the saw square again so I can cut these off. I'm doing these cuts at the 800mm mark because they need to be about 900mm in height. This way they'll fit under, but it gives me the maximum extension if I use them on a different boat. Now we've got 2 matching bases with the 15-degree cuts. Next thing I'm going to do is cut the bases off there. Then I'm going to grind the gouge off so we can weld it more easily and without having too many toxic fumes, and weld them onto the base here. One of the tricky things about doing this job at the moment is I've got tools spread between the boat, home and the workshop, and I don't have a welding jacket here, so I'm just going to throw an old Aldi motorcycle jacket on, $100, you know, just use it. I've also going to try using just one of these little sort of carbon layered dust masks, just see if it helps a little bit with the fumes, and at least I've got some gloves in my welding mask, so let's give it a whirl. So this is what it came out like in the end. Not too bad, I guess, given it's the first bit of stick welding I've done in about 5 years. Good practice for the boat. Next thing I need to make are these top T-pieces. This steel here is 100mm wide, so I cut my 100mm plate. Then I'm going to make this 150 and these 100 square. Next thing I'm going to do is drill a 10mm hole through the side pieces, which is what the pivot bolt will go through. So I'm going to drill them in pairs so they line up perfectly and they pivot smoothly. Now I've got all the top plates drilled, I've just gone and ground the mill scale off, both the top plates and the edges of the sides, and we're going to weld those together using some of these 90-degree magnets. I'll show you that. So here they're just going to get welded on, one here, one here. The idea being the distance between them is just enough to take this upright pole. Now I've got these pivoting heads all welded up, I'm going to drill through a block of timber like this, attach it, and that way it'll protect the hull of the boat from the metal of the stand. What I'm going to do is bolt through from this side, so I'm just going to countersink these holes so the bugle heads don't sit proud and do any scratching of their own. What they actually did at the marina as well was the advantage to having the nuts at this side. These bolts are obviously way too long, but actually way too long because they're going to have to go here, so I'm going to have to cut them. They'll block the pivot otherwise. But the idea was that you could actually separate it slightly. They had a bit of carpet that came in here, wrapped around, went back in the other side, and then you could clamp it down with the wood, tighten the bolts up, and that would give you a bit of extra protection. So I'm not sure if I'm going to worry about that now with a steel boat, but if you've got a glass boat or something, it might be something you'd like to do. I'm going to be using the pre-drilled holes from the locking pin in this. They're much larger than the bolt, so we'll have our pivot this way that we wanted, and we'll also have a little bit of play this way, which I think could be desirable. If not, you could have just cut it under and drilled a smaller hole. I bought some nylock nuts with these bolts and I'm going to stick a washer underneath. And here we are, getting close to the design we're after. Now, the ones at the marina also have some legs coming out. I'm not actually sure it's 100% necessary. I think it's good to be able to put them in position, have them freestanding, and then position the boat afterwards as you lower it on. But I'm running out a little bit of time, so what I'm going to do is probably put them in position and then do that in situ. Because I need to tie the two sloping stands together with a chain to tension them, I've ground a curve onto a D-shackle and then I'm going to weld that onto the stand. Alright, so they're fitting really well. I'll go over and give you a closer look and then we'll tighten up the turnbuckle. So sitting nicely, and then the angled head here is nice for the hull. What I was also told is because of the way the hull shapes, to actually bias them slightly inwards so that they're heading towards a section of the hull but it's actually getting tighter instead of having them going outwards where they could slip forward like that. So there we go, new one's in, the other one's taken out so I can take them back to the marina. I've still got the original back ones I need to replace, but they should arrive this afternoon. I'll have to make up the swivel tops for those as well. Well, thanks for watching. Obviously this is a really high risk thing to do. If a boat falls on you, you're gonna die. That's all there is to it, you know, so be really careful, take your time. If you're not confident, get a professional to do it for you. I'm going to be putting 6 stands in here where the marina only put 4. I think it's a great way to go. It gives you extra protection as an amateur against the boat falling over, and it also gives you the ability to access bits of the hull by moving just one of the 6 stands at a time. Alright, now we're back on the hard. We can get into taking that rudder out again and removing the rudder post. That'll be my next thing. Probably take the rudder post out and take the prop shaft out. So we'll do that in the next video and I'll catch you then. See ya.